Hypocrites, hypocrites, hypocrites. That's an excuse that I hear from time to time from folks who have decided not to come back to church. They say, Brother Kevin, there are too many hypocrites in the church. And I get that, and I understand that. And what they say many times is spot on. What they say many times is accurate and true. But I think about the account of Judas in the Bible. Judas was a betrayer. His very name means betrayer. And he betrayed the Lord Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. In today's commerce, that would be the equivalent of somewhere between $100 and $200. And we think about that, and we talk about how Judas betrayed the Lord, and how that Judas was the epitome. He was the definition of a hypocrite. He pretended to be something and someone that he really wasn't. Evidently, he was a great actor, and he was able to fool a lot of people because he was entrusted with the money. He was the treasurer, if you will. And so I would imagine that a treasurer would be a person that had a high degree of character and integrity. And so again, Judas must have been able to portray that among his peers, to be chosen for that position. But what I want to focus about and what I want to talk about is rarely, if ever, mentioned in this account of Judas. What about the other 11 disciples? Do you know what I admire about them? Not one time did they offer an excuse to the Lord Jesus. Not one time did they say that Judas was a hypocrite, and because of that, my service for you will be no longer. No, they continued with the task at hand. They continued in their service for the Lord Jesus Christ. They did not allow one hypocrite in the camp to deter them from what it was that God had for their life. I admire that. I appreciate that. I put a great deal of value in that. Because really, if you think about it, fundamentally speaking, mankind did not call us to join the church after we were saved. No, the Lord Jesus did that. And so if man didn't call us to the church, why would we allow mankind to cause us to leave the church? I recently read a story, an illustration that really drives home the point that I'm trying to make today. There was once a man that came to his pastor, and he had been a member of this church for over 20 years, he and his wife, faithful members. And on one Sunday evening, he approached his pastor and he said, Pastor, my wife and I think we're going to have to leave the church. After all these years of service, we love you, Pastor, but we're going to have to find another place to worship. And so the pastor was taken back by that. He was shocked by that. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, but he asked the man, he said, if I may, could I ask why you're leaving the church? Why have you come to this decision? And the man, he replied by saying, well, it just seems as if there are so many hypocrites in our church today. Here lately, it seems that the hypocrites in our congregation far outweigh those who are faithful and genuine. And so the pastor, being a quick-thinking person, he asked the man to stand there just for a moment. He left and came back, and after just a few minutes, he came back carrying a glass that was completely filled with water. And he asked that man that was considering leaving the church, he and his wife, he asked that man, he said, what I want you to do before you make a final decision, he said, I want you to take this glass of water that's filled all the way to the top, and I want you to walk around the perimeter of this sanctuary on the inside, and do not let one drop, 1 ounce of water spill out of this glass. The man was agreeable to do that. He loved his pastor, and he thought, well, that's the least I can do after all these many years that we served together. So this man very carefully and very diligently, he took that glass of water. He kept his eyes fixed on that water. Every step that he took was a careful and precise step. And so he made his journey all the way around the interior of that sanctuary. He made his way back to the pulpit where his pastor was standing. And he reached that glass of water back up into the hand of his pastor. And he said, Pastor, not one drop was spilled. And sure enough, that was true. Not one drop of water spilled from that glass that was completely full. And the pastor looked at the man and he said, Sir, may I ask, did you notice anyone gossiping while you were making that journey around the sanctuary? Did you notice anyone huddled up whispering while you were making that journey around the sanctuary? Did you notice anyone that appeared to be irreverent in the Lord's house while you were making that journey? And that man humbly said, "No, sir." He said, "I was so fixed on not spilling any water out of that glass. I was so focused on that water that I did not notice my surroundings." And the pastor said, "That's the point that I'm trying to make." He said, "I'm not asking you to focus on water. I'm asking you to become so fixated on the Lord Jesus Christ that you don't notice your surroundings. You don't notice what other people are doing or what other people might not do. You are fixed on the Lord Jesus. You are looking unto him, the author and finisher of your faith." He said, "Sir, if you would be so devoted to the Lord Jesus as you were this simple task that I asked you to do," he said, "you would not notice all the things that are taking place around you." And boy, I believe that to be the truth. Many times we get distracted because we take our eyes off the Lord and we get our eyes onto mankind. And I understand that. I've been guilty of that. We've all been guilty of that from time to time, and how easy that is to take place in the life of a believer. But I just want to remind you, a friendly reminder, hopefully a word of encouragement. Just keep your eyes on the Lord. Focus on what it is that he has for you. Love the Lord Jesus. Give him supremacy in your life. Give him the preeminence that he deserves, and serve him all of your days. Love your brothers and sisters. Give them love, grace, and mercy. Be quick to forgive. Serve them with the spirit of meekness. But friend, most of all, keep your eyes on the Lord. Jesus is soon coming, and one of these days, all that will matter is what we've done for him and what we've allowed him to do through us. So like those other 11 disciples, don't be deterred by your fellow man. Don't be deterred by them. Don't get off track. Keep your eyes on the Lord. Good day, and God bless you is my prayer.